Hey, this is going to be a pretty informal thought I just wanted to throw up on the last day of the year. Today is December 31st, 2021. And it feels like the last 2 years have just kind of collided into one. Certainly, 2022 won't be worse. Couldn't be, right? I don't know. I can't predict the future. But as we go to this new year, there are a couple thoughts that I wanted to think about. Pastor Mark has shared with me the theme for this new year, and I'm extremely excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And it got me thinking, and it's something that I want to share as we step into this new year, as we enter this year where we will fail our New Year's resolutions. Although I think there is something to be said for resolving to do the things that you don't want to do. Ergo, when you fail those things, you will end up doing what you actually want to do. Don't check my logic on that. But there has been something. I've been reading a book, which I will, when I'm finished, I would love to share with others, because the beginning has been amazing. But it's gotten me thinking about some things that I've never really thought about before. Sometimes when we talk to people, when you're meeting somebody for the first time, you ask them questions trying to figure out who they are. But a lot of times, those questions deal with what they do. For example, two men meeting each other might talk about what they do for work or what their hobbies are. I like hunting, or I work at a nuclear plant, or something like that. But neither one of those questions deal with who they are. A lot of times we talk about Jesus and God and in what they are like, what they have done, what they have said. But a lot of times we miss who they are. What is the heart of God? What is the heart of Jesus? And actually, these thoughts, I'm not going to take credit for them at all, because a lot of them have come from this book that I am reading. But it brings up the question and gives what I think is an excellent answer, an excellent reminder. What is the heart of Jesus? What is the thing that drives him, his center? Obviously, when the Bible talks about the heart, when we talk about the heart, we're not talking about the pumping organ, but rather the center. What is the thing that is most important, that drives you forward? And I wanted to read a couple of verses briefly, where Jesus, I believe, shares his heart. And that is Matthew 11, 28 through 30. And while these specific verses I may not use or be thinking about constantly, this year, and I would encourage you to do the same, I want to be looking at every turn. How can I see Jesus' heart in this? When we are listening to Pastor Mark on a Sunday morning or in youth group, when I'm putting lessons together, we're learning, I want to look in, what is the heart of God in this place? So let me read these verses quickly. And again, this is mostly off the cuff, so it's very informal. Verse 28, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." These are verses that I've passed over 100 zillion times. I think many of us may be familiar with these verses, but let's just think for a moment what they mean for us and what they reveal about Jesus. First of all, he says, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden." We spend so much time in our lives trying to perfect our lives, trying to earn that next amount of money, to purchase that house, to be the better person. All these things can be good. But sometimes we labor in vain, and we're working hard to be good enough, to be wealthy enough, to be virtuous enough, sometimes, without even saying it, to be good enough for God. And Jesus says, hey, Come to me, all you who are working so hard, who are weighed down by the efforts to be good enough. By that feeling of shame and failure when you realize, I have messed up again. I have sinned again. How could a holy God love me? But Jesus says, come to me and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon me and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart. I think Jesus kind of tips his hand a little bit here and shows what truly drives him. Sometimes we can think a holy God wants to judge us because he is so pure, he is so holy, almost like how he dealt with lepers who had a skin disease that made them almost rotting alive. A person who is whole, who is healthy, sees that. Okay, we can think of a parallel today in our world. You see somebody who is sick and you think, oh, I'm healthy, I need to stay away. And to a certain extent, our nature tells us that. Our world tells us that the cool kids don't hang out with the awkward and strange kids. The attractive people don't hang out with the less attractive people. But Jesus says, no. Those of you who are failing over and over, who are struggling, who look at yourself and you just say, ew. Jesus says, come to me. I want you. I'm not up there high and mighty expecting you to keep your distance. I'm down there with you, and I want you to come to me, and I will give you rest. I think it would be encouraging and convicting to all of us to have that attitude as we study, as we live every day this coming year. To first realize how Jesus does that for us. And we don't have to be holy and perfect for him to love us. He has already chosen you. He's already reached out and said, come to me. And as we say, Jesus, I am so sinful and so wicked, Jesus says, but now I've got you. And he hugs us and he holds us and he tells us, you are now a child of the King. You are a holy one through me. Jesus doesn't expect you or me to be holy before he comes for you. No, he says, I'm coming for you now. You may be a leper compared to me, but I will hold you. And to be reminded of that heart in Jesus, that is how he views us. He doesn't view us as a slug. He sees us, no, I love you. Not only do we need to be reminded of how Jesus views us, despite our sinfulness, but also we need to be reminded to treat others that way, realizing that outside of Jesus' love, that we are in the muck with those around us, that we need to have that attitude of gentleness and lowliness with them. Sometimes it's hard dealing with other people. Clearly, it's never hard dealing with us. Recently, I heard a sermon. It was over the parable that Jesus taught, where there was a man who was forgiven 10,000 talents, an enormous amount of money. And the master said, you are forgiven. And that man went to another man who owed him a large amount, but much smaller. And the man began to beat up this other guy for not paying back his wage. And the idea of the parable is so clear. It is hypocritical for us to have been forgiven much and not to forgive others. So not to drag this on much longer, this year, in everything we do, let us look for the heart of Christ. How can we see, even going through the Old Testament, I love the Old Testament, how can we see God's heart for us? When we go to work, how can we show the heart of Christ to the people around us. I guarantee you, the more we think about that, the more we wrestle with this and not just think about it in an abstract way, but think, today, what does this look like? And what I read and what I'm praying and how I'm acting, what does this look like practically? That's going to be tough, because the more we realize how different we are from Jesus, the more we'll realize, man, Jesus has saved me from so much, and I've got such a long way to go. And we will never achieve that until we are with him and we see him as he truly is and are finally in his presence. So, just some simple thoughts. Went a little bit longer than I was anticipating, but hopefully you can think about these things as we enter into the new year.